We opening?
Yes, we open.
Welcome to our latest edition of TNT.
Boom, boom,
Boom!
boom, boom, boom,
I
boom.
am Pastor Joe with the great Michael LaMelle the first, and we
Mm-mm-mm.
are super excited to be with you today.
We are. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for booming in. We're seeing some people on the chat. Deaconess Scott, obviously, always in the building. Evangelist Michael Lamel, Deaconess Ramona B. in the building.
We got the family in the building.
I see First Lady over there.
First lady's in here,
Mm-hmm.
family in the building, and we are definitely excited to have you
Yes.
guys, for you to have us.
Yes.
A lot
We're,
of
we're still going to be discussing the lesson of losing.
the lesson of losing.
There's so much going on in the world, Pastor. I'm not sure what to even discuss with that. There have been some losses in the medical world, and last week, the gentleman, I use that term very loosely, the doctor who wrongfully diagnosed and assessed over 500 people with cancer was convicted finally and sentenced to, I believe, 35 years.
He he falsely diagnosed them so that he could treat them.
He got $17 million accumulated over some years
Right.
because if you sign a person up for treatment, then you, as a doctor, you get a portion of that. Just like the shot that everyone's getting, people, medical facilitators were getting financially, they were getting compensated for diagnosing that, even if you came and transitioned from something else, natural causes, perhaps. If they wrote on your sheet that it was from this cause, then they were compensated. I find that deviant at the highest level.
It's heart wrenching. It's heart wrenching. The opioid crisis epidemic is a byproduct of this very same practice.
True indeed.
And that there were really people who were ill,
Who needed this?
who needed it, and the companies realized uh, that if they could get people addicted to these pills, these drugs, heroin,
Right.
was,
Right.
they were going to make billions, hundreds of billions of dollars, which essentially, the medical industry is one. If it's not the biggest industry in America, it's one of them. Banking a medical.
It's really true.
It's there.
I was discussing recently about this case and was talking with my father. We're talking about other countries and how they are, and with Terrence too, talking about how you are kept well. And the story we're shown in the media is that these countries are overpopulated and they are not as what we would call civilized as us. They're being overrun with people and lacking resources. Where in fact, and in I would dare to say in truth, it is the opposite, and those people are being kept well and thriving well. Um, Whereas here in this culture and country, we are um, we're worth more not well.
Absolutely. We could uh, do so much in terms of preventative
That part.
care to keep us out of hospitals and things like that, but we kind of do the exact opposite. We talked about this before, but of course, this is just this is how we got to warm it up a little. But one of the driving forces of the LGBTQ plus um, not community, but I guess
Gang.
Uh,
Oh
what are you
no.
gonna say? No,
I said gang.
gang.
Sorry, you can't go ahead and
But I'm saying
outburst.
one of the reasons why it is uh, the legislation is being put on the table, and it is being, I would say, marketed, if you will, or it's not. I want to use the word that they would use. It's a representative. It's a representative. I don't know.
Representation?
Representation. Maybe that's the word. There's more representation.
No, we're not where we're at today.
More representation.
More representation.
Is because of the medical field, and it drives business. The transitional drugs, the hormones, the surgeries, the therapy, all of that stuff is big business.
And we all know, as in our second TNT, that money is not the root of all evil.
Nope.
But the
The
love
love
of it.
of money.
For the love of money.
People will rob their own brother.
That song is so profound.
It's there, man.
So well written.
Yep.
People got time. It's very that, man.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
so good, so good. So yeah, you all investigate that. Don't have the doctor's name on my mind right now, but the doctor, he recently got convicted. He misdiagnosed intentionally over 500 patients with cancer, and some of these people are no longer with us because of the treatment that they received with a false diagnosis.
Yeah.
And so there's some people working on getting some suits together,
Right.
suing, and
Right.
I'm praying for everybody involved in that.
Yep.
Because it's so tremendously tragic.
Absolutely. Yep. Shout out to some of my Facebook family. I see a bunch of y'all in here, so let me give y'all some shout outs.
Mhm.
Lovely wife, Elder Austin, Kit Kat Coles, Superintendent Woolard, Elder Hawks, my cousin Lorenzo, Superintendent Johnny Gatlin Sr., who commented that the reason we will never have a cancer cure on the market is because it's just more money in you having it than for you not having it.
True
Not me,
indeed.
but people.
But over
Put
time,
money in the
there
back.
have been people who have solved the issue of it, and they have been suppressed.
Yep.
This is a known truth. It's not speculation. Dr. Sabi in 1986, we talked about this a few times on TNT. I did won a court case. He went and he was incarcerated. That's the beginning. He took out an ad in the New York Times, New York paper, and said a big like quarter page ad in that paper. At the time, there is no Instagram. There is no, so the newspaper is it. Tangible news to you right now. You open the page and it's glaring. All cured, these things, starting with AIDS, cancer, and if you know it, 86, 87, 88 is the biggest thing happening.
Right.
They arrest him for making false claims.
Right.
They tell him he has to bring a certain number of people to court. I think it was like 9. He brought like 52, 72 people, something like that. They showed up on their own dime around the world, France, everywhere, on his behalf. Like, look, he got receipts. Took my doctor paper. I had it. Whatever their thing was, herpes, anything that they had. Asthma. Here's me cured. This man did it. So I am a firm believer that the creator of all things that we see and don't see made it all good.
Yep.
And for a purpose. And we just need to tap into it. Homeopathic medicine and just natural resources, because the creator gave it to us. And if we do something outside of that, I just think it won't sit well with us. It hasn't been. And this is not a charge to people in the medical profession, because you are in a system that you just fall into what is told to you, what is programmed to you.
Right.
But you have the mind, I'm encouraging you, you have the mind to go forth and to seek God on it and seek a different thing and have things revealed to you in nature.
I've read at least 2 books. I'm gonna say 2 or 3 books this year that were not written by people that are professing believers. One of them is a medical doctor, scientist. The other is, I guess, somebody who just did a lot of studying, if you will. And both of those books were on the mind, on the mind. Again, not your brain. Your brain is not your mind, but your mind is the function kind of your brain, right?
Right.
And um, couple of examples, and almost everybody knows this, but if you play certain music to plants, um, there's certain music that plants receive that's going to cause them not to grow as well. When there's certain music, certain vibrations,
Vibrations, frequencies.
you play it, it causes them to actually grow exponentially better, right? This is just kind of how it works, right? And so the things that you feed your mind change your body.
What are you thinking? We were talking about that. What are you
Exactly.
doing? What are you feeding yourself? What's your focus?
And
I love it.
we, I say it quite often. But if you cut yourself, your body knows exactly how to heal you.
True indeed.
It's not really much different from any other thing. If you kind of are receptive enough to allow your mind to figure out how to heal you, because your body is a supercomputer.
Correct.
You don't, most of the time when you cut yourself, if you put some Neosporin on or a Band-Aid on it, that's fine. But most of the time, you'll look up a week later and it's healed.
I have a clue right there. That's can't push in, but I have
see
a
it. Yeah.
and I hit my moving the washing machine with my dad, and now it's growing back. There's a whole the top part came off with a whole nother nail under there on its own. God designed that.
Yep.
He did that. Most sickness starts in your gut. We talked about that before, and then the evidence a lot of times of us being sick is mucus, coughing, your nose running. That is the body, and we're told like mucus, you got to get that out and get it. But the body is already ahead of you, responding, protecting by coating it. It's like a greasing an axle, coating it so it doesn't rub together and cause more irritation.
Right.
Fascinating to me. The body is just always fascinating. Always fascinating. So yes, I charge you to do more research about ourselves, to learn about ourselves. I've said this before, cancer is an organism. Since we were talking about cancer, it's an organism. And to have an organism live, like if you have a pet dog, pet snake, pet cat, then you feed it. It will die without nourishment. Take the food source. Principal food source for cancer, sugar. Okay, the end. Processed sugar. I went in my parents' cabinet. This was yesterday. We're eating breakfast. We're talking. The breakfast is over. Thank you, Mom. And my dad, we're thanking her. She set the plate. We're talking. And I said, this was really good. She did something different. She was trying to validate it. Well, I made something different. I'm not sure. It's a little too tough. It was some eggs, but she put some onions and some vegetables. It was some things in there. And it wasn't exactly an omelet. It was just scrambled eggs, but it had some accoutrement in it.
Sounds good.
And I said, this was really great. You should continue. Like, try it some more. Like, do it again. I said, it's better than what's in the cabinet. I just can't afford to like that. What you mean? And my dad, what? I go and get stovetop stuff. Yeah. I say, let us read. Read.
Read the
So
book.
I began to read it. And we couldn't pronounce it. And it became a fun. We made comedy of it. But it was very serious because I said, stovetop stuffing is banned in other countries. Here, it's a delicacy from mid to low income. We like, oh, you got stovetop? Oh, we getting that. It's efficient. Right? Quick.
Brother, we're going to get into our topic when we get into it. You'll be so proud of me. But not too long ago, I was trying to teach my students about division. So I wanted to come up with a creative way to do it. So I have, 2 bags of Skittles. And I'm going to have them, have a pile of 20. Put them in 5 groups. So now you know how to divide, right?
Now you know how to divide.
And then
Love
obviously,
it.
if it's candy, you know how the kids go. Mr. Mills, can we eat it after? I got 2 big bags.
Right.
I took both of them and threw them away today. I refuse to give them to the kids.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Proud of
I
you.
had to teach them how to divide another way, but I got these 2 bags. And I was like, nah, I can't do it.
We're not feeding the monkey.
Not doing it.
Oh, man. That's really good.
Yep.
That's really good. Sugar, processed sugar, anxiety, be anxious for nothing, stress, heaviness, all of those things can feed illness.
Yep.
And when you are told that you have something, just like this doctor that misdiagnosed all these people, I believe that their mind switched to a thing and they became ill with something.
Yep.
If it wasn't cancer, they became physically ill
Yep.
because of the news
Yep.
that they received,
Yeah.
what they took in,
Yep.
what they processed. So let's be ever mindful of that. Speaking of which, Pastor Joe and I lost a dear, dear friend, like family,
Yep.
and so we want to pray for her family.
Definitely.
Michelle Gilliam, who was at one point booking our group and managing, helping to manage some things that we were singing, and we did a lot over at Down and Gross Cultural Arts Center.
Yep.
We got some bags and produced some shows. I would help them quite a bit, and she was the centerpiece of that being happening. That she was instrumental in the actual building being up, getting it named the Ella Fitzgerald Theater.
Right.
She used to work at the White House, and then she came to do that. And so, a stellar life for a stellar person, and a beautiful, sweet soul. And so, we're praying for her and for her daughter, who now doesn't have a mommy, about that.
Right.
So, yes. And breast cancer. So, yeah, need to come against all of that.
Yeah. Michelle was one of a kind, man. And it's definitely a huge loss, but she lived a fantastic life.
Fantastic.
So, that's what you celebrate. That's what you lean into.
Yes.
How somebody lived as opposed to how they transition.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
I actually, speaking of that, which is an awesome, amazing segue, because today, right now, today, Reverend, is my mom's birthday. Mi
Oh,
madre.
man. The queen.
She is 80
Octogenarian.
today. Y'all get some shout outs to Lillian Lamel, who, like Joe said, we're celebrating life. In Michelle's transition, we're celebrating her life. My mother, who is still here, we're celebrating life.
We did our show on your mom's birthday, right?
We did.
I remember,
The
right?
other-
Yeah.
our concert via Michelle
Yep.
was on their birthday, and I said it from the stage
Yep.
because we were cutting up a little bit, singing Secret Garden.
Yeah, right.
Yep. I said, my mama said, I can't really get y'all yet. They had some people in the front, some girls who was really out beside themselves. And Pastor Joe, he put on an earring, and his wife was right there. And it looked like he was singing to the people, but I knew he was looking at Ash. And she was like, and I was like, y'all looking at his wife right there. And his mama was there. So it was really interesting.
It was
But
great.
anyway,
we hadn't been married a month.
You had to be there. And he was still giving her that secret God language. I want to read your mind. I said, bro, we got church folk in here. Go on and let it out. Because when you with your lady, you don't want to hear Marvin Sapp.
Marvin Gaye, please.
I want to hear Marvin Gaye. My God. Because I'm not. Amen. I want to hear.
Amen.
Hello, somebody.
Hello.
This is just transitioning to a different thing.
We got y'all, man.
Man.
Shout out to.
I like Donnie McClurkin. He's a friend of mine. I have his cell number right here.
That's right. That's your boy.
However, I don't want to hear him.
Nah. That voice is not going to do. That's for worship.
I said, Pastor wants to hear Donnie Hathaway.
Hathaway. There you go.
Worship of a different set, a different kind.
Yes, sir.
The laying on of hands.
Amen. Okay, let me shout some more people.
Oh, Karen said sugar and mental stress, anxiety feed cancer. She said that. So same page. Jinx.
Yep. Cheryl Jones, Shantae Moore.
Shantae Moore. My God, he's singing a new album. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
We're still sending love and peace to Letitia's family.
Amen.
Because that's still fresh as well.
Yep.
So if you know, you know. But Pastor lost another someone. And it's just kind of in the ether. We're supporting each other during these times. Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'm gonna tell I'm gonna call I can tell her now, dude. She gonna call. We could discuss it. I got a post taken down about a week ago, a couple of weeks. I made this post. I went back because I wanted to send it to you. I said that the next pandemic is all of the deaths caused by cancer.
Huh.
And as a record, I wanted to go on record saying that it was related to the jab.
Mm. Wow.
I know they didn't like that because it was,
You got to.
and then I couldn't even log in after that. So, but
Facebook jail.
I'm saying here that you can say, oh, Michael Lamel said something like that.
Facebook jail.
Epic proportions. You can notice it now for people who have gotten that and how we have epic proportions of this C word taking lives. Okay. I said what I said.
Said it. TNT.
You can look back in just the past 2 months and agree with it. You don't have to, but yeah.
Yeah.
The lesson of losing.
Lessons of losing.
So last week we were talking about our good man, upright man, perfect man.
Job, also known as Job.
Yes, and he had one to keep his posture and position. Wow. While he was faced with a problem. Very interesting because Job was in fact chosen for um, for the abundance of the Creator.
Yep.
Anointed for abundance. That's good.
Real good.
And then because much was given, then he found himself in a precarious predicament where much was also required. It wasn't a mystery, it was just a quandary that he found himself in because of the situation.
Right.
So he was chosen again differently. But because he was God's elect, he was able to withstand, Pastor. And we talked about that's where we started. Okay,
Yep.
go ahead. I'm gonna pull the scripture up.
Yeah, no, I mean the book of Job is so we referenced, we really only got kind of to chapter 1.
Man.
And I think it's 42 chapters.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the book of Job is believed to be the oldest book in the Bible, and that it was written before all the rest. That's what we are taught, I believe. And theologically, it's just one of those ones that it kind of sets the stage for how we process and understand God, how we understand principles of sovereignty, how we come to understand how bad things, terrible things can happen to good people, upright people, and then the consistency of God kind of in that. Like God doesn't change, even though circumstances happen to us that can change us. He's Himself, which you really see on display throughout the whole book.
The
Just
whole
um,
entire book.
yeah,
You gotta love it.
gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Let's look at Job 2 and just kind of dive in, and we'll go until we stop going for a minute.
Right.
So at the top of chapter 2, we find a repeat of from some information and situations from chapter 1. In chapter 1, Job was accosted, if you will, by the enemy. But it happened because the sons of God and Satan were called to a meeting. They were in order, kind of like a round table, if you will. But they were standing before the throne and being examined, they cross-examined. And so Satan is there, and God says, what you been doing, basically. From whence comest thou is the words,
Right.
but what you doing?
Right.
Say, I've been on the job, I've been around here doing this and that, looking for what I'm about to get into. Oh, consider Job, you know what I mean? And really, Pastor, if you could talk briefly on this, I know we don't have any kind of planned thing. We're both familiar with the story, so we just kind of
Right.
doing an expository on it. with regards to losing and lessons in losing, but um, there have been many teachings and questions from people that say the Bible contradicts itself. He's a God of he's not a good God, like he's angry, he's mean, you know what I mean? This is an example that I've heard before. Um, because why would God throw him to the wolf, throw him to the fire? Why would God make him be the example? You wanna speak on that?
Yeah, I'd be glad to because I
Because
think that you know,
he's doing everything right.
right?
Why
Yeah,
me?
because the reality, again, you're talking about the eternal God who's going to see everything, right?
Mm,
The reality is that if there is evil in the world, um, bad things are going to happen to people that we would assume don't deserve it.
true.
Again, let's deal with that last phrase that we would assume don't deserve it.
Right, right,
Because
right.
if we're really understanding ourselves in comparison to the Almighty God, we deserve nothing. All of us deserve nothing. We don't deserve nothing from Him.
That's inclusion. Oh,
Air last one.
there's your inclusion.
And we were having a crazy. I was having a crazy discussion with my sister today. It was so funny because she's a comedian and she talks comedian things at all times.
Correct.
Um, and
Her mind is working that comedy.
right, she needs to put our conversation in her bit. If she could do it, I don't know. But
Right.
she was talking about how she ran into a friend of hers that was an atheist, and
Mm.
the friend heard that she was a preacher's daughter, and kind of like approached her like, "You're a preacher's daughter." She was like, "Yeah, raised in church all my life." And the atheist friend was like, "Oh well, I don't believe in God. There's no God." And then the atheist young lady went into her tirade about
Spiel,
why would
right.
God, why would God, why would God, why, right? And to atheist people, God doesn't owe us nothing. All of us deserve hell. So He can do whatever He wants because we all deserve hell. Period. Done. End of discussion. The discussion was that was a tangent. The discussion
Right.
was we were talking about Christmas, and I was like, it's funny to me that atheists celebrate Christmas, and she's like, no, they don't. I said, yes, they do, bro. They really do this. Like they go and buy gifts,
Absolutely, they do.
and they don't believe in God. And she's cracking up. She's like, Joe, you're crazy. I said, you don't understand this.
It's true.
Christmas is so big that atheists celebrate, and that's how cuckoo they are, if you ask me. But whatever. No disrespect to my atheist friend. I got a few that celebrate Christmas. But we kind of have to start there. And so God kind of, I would say, chose a test case, if you will, who could be the one who goes through the lesson for the rest of us to understand that none of us are going to be able to have anything unless He's protecting us from everything that wants to harm us. And as soon as He removes that hedge of protection from anybody, we're now vulnerable. But just like He removes it, He can put it back. And whatever we lose, the end of the story, there's this restoration aspect. So it's not really what you go through because you can't control that. You can only control your reaction to it. And so I think from a theological standpoint, Job is the test because God knows He's going to pass this test. And He gives us these lessons so that now we have this story. And we can learn the lessons from losing.
That part. I love it. Well put. I think I would say to Brene's friend, and this I think gives a quickening for me when I'm asked about this Job situation. God allowed it, just like Jesus allowed Lazarus to die.
Yep.
Because it wasn't about that; it was about this.
Yeah.
The purpose was the next step,
Yep.
not this that you're in when you feel stuck right here. In this part, and you can't get past it, and your mind won't let you see past it or get it. Like the atheist you were saying, it's a tirade, a litany of things. Got it. Go one more step, and he allowed Job, or so that the glory would still return back to him. You did all of that and still had to see me because Job didn't turn away from it. So you still, at your best hand, enemy, you had to come back and see me.
Yep.
I mean,
You tried. You tried it. That's what the kid. The kid said you tried it.
you
You
tried it.
failed.
It was a fail. So you only can have the fail from a try. So you got to allow. You see what I'm saying?
Bro, you're killing me. I love it.
You got it. He had to allow it.
Yep.
Our appreciation for light is only measured by our experience of darkness.
Yep.
And so you have to have that as a reference.
Yep. And
otherwise, it would just be a fabrication.
Yep. You can only get the fail from a try. And like you just said, and it's so interesting to me because we are literally brought into the very part of the beginning of this book into the fact that God and the sons of God, these are divine spiritual beings.
Yes.
So
yes.
you have the attack of a spiritual being on a human,
Mm.
and guess who lost? The human who had a belief in God lost when he really should have been defeated because a spiritual being has more power, more control than a human. But you lost to somebody that is quote unquote inferior to you
That part.
because of their belief in somebody that's superior to us all. Man, we were
Don't it
preaching.
just good? Yeah, that's good. That's so good. I want to turn the table
Me
over,
too.
kind of like
Me
man.
too.
So Job 2 starts where the middle portion of Job 1 has basically the same words. Again, there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came among them to present himself before the Lord. I find it interesting that you all are so powerful. This is the opposition. He's so powerful and so cunning and crafty, but he had to follow the mandate of. I mean, you should have took a day off. You ain't had to come.
Right.
If you bad, if you got the authority. But you had to present yourself. You only do that when you can be charged with a blemish or get a demerit.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
You present yourself.
Right. Yep.
What do they call it in taxes? Audited.
Audited. Yep.
When you're audited.
Yep.
An authority does that.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. An authority has the power to do that. And he asked him, and so that Satan answered, Lord, said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So Satan went forth. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, verse 7, chapter 2, verse 7, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a post herd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. That's what Job did. I'd like to make note here on verse 7 again. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. I used to say this. I heard some old people say, excuse me, that we give the devil too much credit.
Right.
One, I would say to you, he's not a creator.
Right.
He is a confuser, right?
Deceiver. Right.
And he he modifies creation, alters. He has the ability to do that, but so do you. You can change your mind and manifest something different. So what Job did, what Shaitan did, he went to Job, the creation, and altered it, modified it.
Right.
It was still God and still good. That's why he couldn't touch the life. He didn't create it. Lord have mercy. I hope y'all getting pick up what I'm putting down. He didn't create the life, so he couldn't take it.
Can't take it. Yep.
That was our abortion series. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
That was our resolve. So he did all that he could, modifying it, altering it. And he took him a poster, Job scratching himself with like pieces of clay and pots
Right.
and stuff.
Right.
Then said his wife to him, here comes somebody else that love him, that care for him, got the best intentions. Dost thou still retain thy integrity? Curse God and die. We talked about this before. You can't be in your feelings and fulfill your purpose. You can't.
Yep. Can't do it.
I don't care how you feel about it. Walk in your purpose and your uprightness. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Everybody say, what?
What?
What shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? And all this, inclusion, like Joe said, did not Job sin with his lips? He told his wife that she talked like a foolish woman. And the text supported that, saying in all of this, he didn't sin. So that wasn't a sin.
Was not a
I'm
sin.
sure she didn't like it.
Of course she didn't. Of course. Nobody would like it if somebody tells you, and you talk like a foolish. Whatever.
Who's going to like that? But is it true, though? He still didn't sin. I just like how it's written because he said all of that. And then they put it so you can't even have no room to try to.
Can't even, no wiggle room on that.
None. Now, when Job's 3 friends, he got some more friends. He got a wife and he got 3 friends. Heard all this evil that was come upon him that came from every one of his own place. Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. They're going to be sad for him.
Right.
And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. They started crying from way out there just because they saw him. Oh, Lord, Job. Oh, my God. We're hurting for you and want to hurt. Oh, my God.
Right.
And this is what the book say.
Yep.
And wept, and they rent everyone his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him. This is in verse 1 too, the same kind of thing.
Right.
Upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him. For they saw that his grief was very great. They studied to be quiet.
Wow.
But away far off.
Right. They were crying.
Yeah. I just believe that he could hear that, and it still was a part of his situation, but he stayed the course. I was telling people that Michelle transitioned, and then I felt, Pastor, that I had to wear everybody's moment of surprise and grief.
Right. Yep.
That was heavy.
Yep.
And so at the end of the day, I didn't want to talk any more or hear words or anything.
Yep.
And I questioned that. Should I feel bad? Like I feel bad for not being, I got to be still more present. But I was finished.
Yep.
My cup was running over.
Yep.
I didn't want to hear about it anymore, talk about it, be asked about it, anything.
Yeah, man. A lot of times, man, when you uh when you when you're going through something, it's bad enough that you have to deal with it.
Mm.
But then a lot of times people's reaction to whatever it is that you're dealing with is an increased weight. Right? I mean, that's what you basically just said.
It's
It's
definitely
like
that.
Job has dealing all of that. So now if his 3 friends come and they break down and start crying, it's like y'all ain't gonna do nothing. He's dealing with it. And now
y'all did it from way over there.
right. And now he kind of has to deal with that. It reminds me of you know how like sometimes your child will fall down or have a boo or something, and not having the experience to know what to do, they'll look at you. And if you go, "Oh my God," they're gonna immediately start crying. But if you, okay, you're all right. It's gonna do something to their reaction. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
you're conditioning them. Because as the parent, you want to run over and see, "Oh my God, no, no, no." And when
Mm-hmm.
they see all of that, they're gonna
Yeah.
start crying. But if
Yeah.
you, boom. And a lot of times, man, people don't understand that your reaction to whatever I'm dealing with is just like that child. Like, you have to be strong in this situation
Yeah,
because
that's
I
true.
need your strength. I'm going through it. I don't need you breaking down. Woe is me. I need you strong. I need you to give me a word. I need you to be able to.
It's not possible all the time though with people, Reverend.
Nah, of course not. No. And what happens is you're communicating, and then the people they trying to see. Well, let's see what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Let me see. You know what I'm saying? What's going on with you? Whatever. And they have no idea, man, that you're trying to communicate because you're trying to stay strong, but you need some help sometimes, man. We need some help.
And sometimes the help is don't do anything.
Do nothing.
That's
They sat in silence for 7 days, for a week.
they did that part. They got and noticed. He's quiet. He's dealing with it. The support is right here.
Yep.
I'm gonna sit with you.
We got you.
And guess what we're not gonna do? We're gonna follow your lead on however you're doing.
Yep.
That was that was good what you just
Yep.
said,
I
man.
had to put more on you. Yep.
That was good what you just said. That's difficult though.
Oh, bro.
It's difficult.
I know.
Job 3. Job regrets his birth. After this, Job opened his mouth and cursed his day. He didn't curse God.
Nope.
Hear what I'm saying? Still sinless.
Yep.
And Job spake and said, let the day, Job 3 and 3, Job, let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man child conceived. Let that day be darkness, let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it. Let the blackness of the day terrify it. He hasn't said any profane language or what we esteem or consider to be profane. Yet the text said he cursed the day. This is what we're talking about a few TNTs ago about being mindful of your words that you are speaking, being mindful of the sound at which you say it. Pastor talked about those plants. I wanted to make that point earlier that texture and tenor matter.
Yeah.
Tone, tonality, but vibrations and frequencies. And by design, we are different, men and women. But there's something, as God would have it, where if Pastor and I are here and we have other men in the room and we're communicating, and another man comes to the door and say, "Hey, the building is on fire, or there's been a crazy accident," and just to let y'all know, woo, woo, woo. And he's kind of, at a level raised and brings us that we are addressing it and watch and looking like, wow, oh man, well, let's kind of, we might go see. Some people going to keep talking and try to assess it. However, good God, if a woman of the female category, born as such, that has a birth canal,
Right.
uterus, is what I'm talking about. It's true. Not manufactured by man's hand. Good God. Comes to the door with the same men in the room, with the same message, the same words, even, and the same energy. The room is immediately activated because of that frequency,
Yep.
that tone,
Yep.
because it is that vessel.
Yep.
I know it's true, Pastor.
It's 1,000% true.
That in mind, the power of that in mind, we must be mindful how we're wielding it, how we're receiving the information, and how we're disseminating. That's
Yep.
for men and women.
Yep. Super important. Uh, Super important. It's so true. A man can say something, a woman can say something, and it's just going to activate different things in in us when we hear it. It just kind of
It just is.
is.
And if it's men's men, they're gonna be trying to fix it quickly.
Yep.
It's just the nature of it is how it is. Little bro say, "Yep."
I see our brother Bashiri
It's
Gyron.
really true, man.
It is. It really is. The man, the theology of the book of Job is just awesome to me. And um the scriptures that you just read um go to show, I think that everything that's in the Bible is not a biblical principle, right? If you read those verses and don't understand the context that this is a man speaking out of intense pain and grief, you'll misunderstand everything that's happening.
True. True.
And this wasn't written so that you could read these verses and curse the day that you were born.
Right.
And that was not the right response. Like when
Correct.
we talk about the Bible is full of lies.
Right.
People
Full of lies.
People can't grasp the concept, and people that don't believe the Bible say that's right. See, it is, but the point is,
Right.
there are principles. There's a whole context here. Don't just pull out a verse.
Don't do it.
It doesn't make sense.
You won't have it in context or
Job
anything.
said these things.
Right.
Doesn't make them. There's scripture, but they don't make them biblical principles.
Right. This is a man speaking about his situation.
Right. His response to it. Not even trying to tell you that this should be your response. This is what he's dealing with right now.
And for me, looking at it, this is what I just personally take this. We talked about how to study, how we study tips and things. I put myself in the thing.
Yep.
Job wishes he had died at birth, starting at verse 11. He went from cursing the day he was born to really feeling the type of way about his birth actually happening.
Right.
Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Here's an interesting fact. In all of this, to me, it never appears that he is talking to the Creator.
Yep.
He's having this conversation with himself.
Right.
As we do.
Yeah.
I say self say, huh?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's rhetorical to himself.
Right.
But it's just showing the weight of what he's dealing with.
Right. Yep.
Why did the knees prevent me? Why the breast that I should suck? They should have kept all that from me.
Right.
For now, should I have lain still and been quiet? I should have slept. Then had I been at rest. I just don't want to do nothing. With kings and counselors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as in hidden untimely birth, I had not been, as infants which never saw light, like a stillborn, like a just infant death. Man. So he goes all through that, and then this next section is longing for death, like he wishes for it in his own internal way. He's wrestling. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bitter in soul, which long for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures. Verse 22, which rejoice exceedingly, that has a ly on it, and are glad when, and it has a comma too. I just want to make a point. When they can find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came. Man.
The question that you presented to me, I think, is kind of answered in chapter 3 in terms of, why would God even allow this? And he allows Job to process through all of this stuff because everybody's going to deal with something that they're uncomfortable with. It's just going to happen. And how do you process it? Do you decide, I should never have been born. It'd just be better for me to die. Woe is me. I can't do it. I'd rather be dead right now, right? Or are there lessons from the losing that that we can uh, that we can learn from? Our brother says his take on the hedge was interesting. Whose take? My take?
Job.
Oh, what he said?
Yeah, yeah. It's verse let's see. It was in chapter 3. It says, why is verse 23, why is light given to a man whose way is hid and whom God hath hedged in?
Oh yeah.
For my sighing cometh before I eat, and my roarings are poured out like waters, like the waters. But the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me. The verse before that, brother, is which rejoice exceedingly and are glad when they can find the grave. Um, they're giving light the ones that are in misery,
Right. Right.
and life unto the bitter soul. Yeah. So I think that the hedge is talking about those latter portions, light given to them that is in misery. The hedge part is the misery,
Right.
and life unto the bitter soul. That is these other verses are examples of the misery and the
Right.
bitter soul,
Yep. Makes sense to me.
whom God hath hedged in.
Right.
Because in this whole story, God, we're told at the beginning, God allowed that. God kind
Yep.
of put it in action. So in verse 4, one of the people that came to see him and visit in chapter 4 begins to speak. And he's saying about you always been good. We're here for you. Is it gonna bother you if we're here for you? How you gonna feel about that? Is it going to make you feel more heavy or less heavy? This is Eliphaz
Yeah. Elephants.
and the Temanite. And what can we do to help you? Because you always been good. It's in the text right here.
Right.
You always been good. You always help other people. You got the right things to say. You are a good man. And we just want to know how we can help you because we don't think that this is right. It's not right for you to be going through this and you always do stuff right. You know how people do.
Yeah.
And I'm making it in a contemporary words, but that's the that's the inference of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I see a discussion going on. I'm trying to get some of that.
Yep. Our brother Bashir.
Oh yeah.
Let me go back. Satan is understood as an agent within the judicial purview of God rather than the embodiment of cosmic evil. He is literally understood as a prosecuting attorney who is an agent of the divine judge. He's an employee who fulfills the will of God. Don't think I disagree.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And I think that speaks to I don't know if you was in here, little brother, when I said the whole matter for me was that God, the creator, allowing it to happen because the necessity of it was for it all to come back to him to get glory, whatever it was. All roads came back to the oneness.
Yeah.
So our perspective and the finitude of our minds is limited to our carnality, saying, well, I don't think it should happen like that. Our, our understanding goes, to the end of the table.
Right.
Where God is looking at a macro view, of the whole thing and saying, no, it's got to go that. But I think it's bad. That's what Job's saying. Why is it this? I want to curse my day I was born. But it's for the end result. It's not even for that moment. Just like Lazarus, just like the three Hebrew boys. Pick any of those stories, whether you believe them to be true or not. But Pastor was saying the essence of the lesson and the moral of the story, if you will, is all true. And for us to live better and be better, grow us better.
Yep. Satan is a title in Hebrew, not a proper name. Yep. Also true.
Yes.
I liken it, and this is maybe not the best example, but whenever you're dealing with like high courts, high crimes,
Mm-hmm.
prosecutors will pick not they don't just pick cases that they want to prosecute, but oftentimes they will pick people, if you will, or individuals, because there's the assumption that y'all are doing something illegal
Mm-hmm.
in order to get here. What happened? And oftentimes, in order for them to be able to prosecute a crime, they kind of set crimes up, or they put guys in a position. Like if you had a meteoric rise as a stockbroker, chances are you did some insider trading. So as a prosecutor, I have to prosecute you because I have to keep the integrity of all of this together, right? So if you got here by committing crimes, you got to go to jail. But if you got here by uh, fair means, then you're going to essentially escape whatever prosecution I bring, and now you're a beacon of representation, right? And I think that that's kind of how this works sometimes, right? Um, Sometimes God says, "Yeah, try 'em out. Let's see." And let's see what happens when it all comes out in the wash. What happened? And it didn't work because
And he's telling them, "You try it. I know what it's gonna be.
right.
This will you,
Yeah.
and for you got to come back and see me, just like the people do."
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's parenting 101. The prodigal father.
Yep. Prodigal
Give me
father.
mine. Well, this ain't a good decision, but go ahead.
Yep.
I say it all the time. I don't want to be the person that has to get the lesson from being smart. I want to get it from being wise.
Talk.
And I don't want to have to go through a thing to understand or get it. I can stand over here and get it and not get it on me to get it.
You can read the book.
That part.
So many lessons.
It's in there. So the title of that section says Ungodly Complainers Provoke God's Wrath. And the thing was, they were certain they were doing their best intentions in the will.
They were certain that ascribing Job's faithfulness and his goodness and comparing it to God was going to be the comfort that he needed. You don't deserve this. Based off of whose standards? The standards that we set. It's that whole what type of God? You're wrong. We all deserve it. Even the best of us deserve it. So now you can't complain when it happens to you because you're not upright in all your ways.
So he goes on and says more things like what, piggybacking on what Pastor said, you don't deserve it. And I just hear everything like a movie, like I see it like contemporary. You know what I mean? And I can see them now. And this was a dude. So look, man, bruh, you ain't got to put up with that. I know your wife said that because I see it and I see how you wearing it. I know this Jane over here, but you ain't got to put up with that. You ain't got to. You can go over here.
Right.
Why would he do that? He's supposed to be my boy.
Exactly.
Huh? No. What are we talking about?
Right.
Support me where I'm at right here and do it. This was Eliphaz. Part of their issues were they were supporting, trying to be the supportive friends. That's great. They were doing it on their own terms.
Yep.
That's what you were saying.
Yep.
I'm grieving. You can't add more by saying it out loud or crying with right here.
Right.
I'm not crying. You don't cry.
Right.
Not here. Because that's going to affect me different.
Right.
And consequently means you're not here for me.
Right.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Our brother, what I'm saying is it's impossible for God to have a proper for those of you who don't know vernacular today, opponent opposition,
right,
for sure, because he's unrivaled by definition, which means all can but only be an employee that he utilizes at his discretion. Satan is literally controlled opposition in this context.
Yes, the thing the ingredient I think we need to add though, brother, is volition, because that would kind of negate that control. So I agree, controlled opposition. But then I have to say the flip side of the same coin has a heads and a tails. Same coin. The flip side would be that the controller releases the control. it becomes the opposite side now, right? And volition, the power to choose, becomes the agent's empowerment, or your own um, left to your own merits, your own whim. I'm saying it, saying it correctly.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. That idea of volition, particularly as it relates to us, the Jobs of the world. But I would say that Satan has had volition at one point in time.
Yeah.
Um, according to it seems to what we have been taught. I'm wrestling right now, wondering like um, if the Book of Job is um, the oldest book in the Bible that's ever been the oldest book that we believe, first book written. I'm wondering, is it possible that over time could Satan, again title, could his um, could his workings have changed? In other words, at that moment in time, is it possible that he just was, if you will, an employee? Um, but continuing to say lose these battles, that he's gone more rogue, if you will. Is it possible that he's grown into, you know, I don't know. I'm wondering this as I'm thinking it out loud right
Yeah,
now. Like I
yeah,
don't know, but
yeah, yeah.
it's interesting.
I can see that. I can
Very
see
very
that.
interesting.
I can see that. If you were doing something and you feel like you got away with it, and the boss didn't see it, then you feel like you can double down.
Right, right.
So you have more brashness now.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, because in terms of how Bashir was saying it, a boss and an agent, or uh, to go into the boss's office and say, "Yeah, you did all that, but so what? That's because you did that. Let me woo woo woo." That's
right.
already out of pocket.
Yep,
But volition says that you can think for yourself.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. God is in control, right? We do believe that
Yes.
God is definitely in control.
Which he can also yield any portion thereof at any time.
Yeah,
No man take this life, but I lay it down and then pick it back up.
yeah. I think Bashir got sons, so um there have
Beautiful
been
sons, by the
yeah,
way.
so there have been times I'm sure you grew up in a similar context where it was like the two sons got into it in front of dad. So dad will be like, not might say nothing. And might be some name calling, might be a couple of pushes, might be a shove, might be a swing. But there's gonna be a moment where if it starts getting out of control, dad gonna say, nah, you're going too far. I let y'all kind of, what I'm saying, put the boxing gloves on, whatever,
Right.
but it's going too far. The whole time, you don't have to keep going back and forth. You can stop at any moment. But if I have to step in and stop it, I am completely in control. Why are you doing all this foolishness? Right?
I get it.
You see what
I
I'm
liken
saying?
it to the
Right.
same thing.
And I think that God said, okay, let y'all handle this. Look, you know, and then, whenever I guess he feels like he might need to bring us back.
Because if I stand up, if I come in there,
right. Everybody get you're going too far.
and everybody's getting it, that's key.
Everybody's getting it. If he yields to let our wills prevail, then the consequences of that decision is his to bear by virtue of being the supreme volitional agent. Right. I think that's where I'm gonna disagree. If he yields to let our wills prevail, then the consequences of that decision is his to bear by virtue of being the supreme volitional agent. Right. Yeah, I don't think I agree with that one.
No, 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 no. You are the what's the word? Progenitor. You are the procure of your own choice. You receive that what choice you make. I I've used this reference frequently because it seems so simple for me, and I like simple about the prodigal son story, which is simply a story, but it's so many layers to unpack. It's like an onion, and just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And if wisdom is the principal thing, that means you would get that and have an opportunity to get it. Whether or not you refuse it, that's on you. But you have the opportunity. And now the parent shouldn't be responsible for the bad decision that the child makes. And the parent has the license because they can pay physically for it. The child gets a DUI,
Right.
gets in jail. The parent goes and pays and bonds them out, et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. But I can't wear their bad choice. I'm not responsible for their bad choice.
Right.
I can pay for their bad choice, see,
Right.
but I'm not responsible for their bad choice.
Yep.
And I liken it to the same thing. He didn't go into the far country with his son. I think he kept him on his mind too, obviously by him waiting and seeing him afar off.
Right. Right.
So yeah, and if we take that template and put ourselves in it with the creator, then no, he's not at fault. He could pay for it, which he did.
Sure did.
Redeemed. Right? So that part is done. But is he responsible? Which is to your question specifically, bro? Nah.
Yeah. Bashir and I are both educators. We're both teachers. I think he teaches in high school.
Brilliant, too. Brilliant.
Right. I teach 7, 8-year-olds. So in my class, I'm in control. But the reality is I can't make a child do anything.
Period.
Now, to a point.
Right.
For
Right,
example,
right.
if I say sit down, a child decides to stand up, I am strong enough to grab them and sit them,
Yeah.
right? And I'm strong enough to put my force on them to make them stay seated. But now I'm going to jail, right? So technically, if I ask a child to sit down, I'll say the rule is sit down, and that child
That's
says,
what I was talking about. The rule.
The
That
rule.
put a pin in that part.
right, the rule is sit down.
It's established.
If the child makes a choice to not sit down, then that child has to suffer whatever the consequences are. Consequence might be that I just let them stand up. Consequence be I call his parent. Consequence I call the principal who are going to now physically remove him out of my classroom. But the choice is his. Now, most of the time, since the choice is so easy, just sit down. Especially if I remind you, right?
Yeah.
But the person, I'm in control. I am literally in control of my classroom. But I can't really make you do anything.
Yeah.
I can't make you stop talking. I mean, I can put my hand, but I can't really do it. And I think it's the same way that you always have a choice. You decide based off what the rules are, whether or not you are going to choose the consequences of your choices or to accept the consequence of the choice or the benefit. And a lot of times that's where we mess up. Okay, where he at? Where he at? God steps aside only to still fulfill his will ultimately, LOL.
Semantics 101.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I like it.
That's really the case. Think of it in terms of this, good sir, good Pastor Bashir. The will is going to be done. That's the establishment that I said put a pin in. That's the also the super objective. Because you can do something, should you do it? On you. Whether or not the child sits or not, the class does not lose the overseer, and the objective for learning still goes on, with or without the perpetrator.
Right.
The will. That's the will. We're going to get to this information and get a test. You don't even have to come for the test.
Nope.
That's on you, not me.
Yep. And let's do this. Let's do this because I'm an educator, right? So let's say the child.
We love you too, brother.
Yes, sir. Much love.
Always.
Let's say the child
Don't nobody mess with him either. That's our bro.
That's right. Exactly. let's say the child stands, right? I'm teaching and I'm trying to get this math lesson. And then I call the principal, they come get them. I've accomplished two parts of my will because I got my math lesson done, but you helped me give them a life lesson.
Yes. Consequent. Good God
Because
Almighty.
now they understand
Eesh.
more about consequence.
Yes.
And
The tangible reference.
right. And so you can say that my will was done. It was. I did not ever want that child to violate.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
even though you did, I'm smart
So
enough
good,
to
so
make
good.
it applicable
So
to
good.
everybody else.
So good. That's so good. That's so good.
That's how he does it.
That's so good. That's so God-ish.
That's how
as Karen would
that's
say.
how he does it.
It really is.
That's how he does it.
It really is. And so we must decide if, with wisdom being the principal thing, therefore get wisdom. Wisdom is only what we always say, applied knowledge. And that's the power, not knowledge is power, because if you do nothing with it, it means nothing.
Yep.
Wisdom is power. Therefore, get wisdom. And then all that getting, get understanding. You don't have to know the why until you get the why.
That's it. Nothing occurs without the grace of God, for better or worse, or facts. Okay. Ultimately, the analogy breaks down because God is an entity that occupies ineffability. Yeah, of course, man. You know,
Yeah, right,
we're trying to put
right.
it in anthropomorphic terms. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're trying to do the best we can.
Right. So it can be tangible and practical.
Right.
And also practical. We're gonna have another me and Moby call that we're gonna have a long head debate discussion with that like
right.
that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh man, that's so good.
It's not a perfect analogy by any means.
No. But I love the classroom.
Yeah.
Classroom thing, because particularly in these days, when I was coming up, I didn't have a voice in the class. You did what you were told, period. You didn't have a will outside of the teacher.
Right.
Period. And any infraction was met with swift retribution.
Swift and sudden.
That's it. Your teacher could reprimand you, and then it go just through a chain of events.
Right. It's all gonna be the same result.
And so that said, there was a different atmosphere.
Right.
But we still had choices, because you still could if you wanted to. By us empowering the young people in a different way these days, there are a lot more different choices being made, unfortunately. And we should get some things back to the way they were.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Pastor?
Totally agree. Because it kept us in line. And it might have been some fear based in it, but we understood kind of what we should and should not do. Because there was this concept that we really can't do this.
You know, it's interesting. Let's say this. Let's change this to this, because we say, oh, we had some fear in it. And that's what we can understand practically. But I like to think that we had wisdom in it, because for every action, there was a reaction that was consequential to your action.
Yes.
So that's wisdom.
Yes.
You knew it.
You knew it.
Whether or not you subscribe to it, that's on you. But there was wisdom in place.
Applied knowledge.
Apply. If you do this, if you talk out of turn, you know, it's just very simple, man.
Yep,
I don't know.
very simple. Student recently told me Saint food, but that's a whole nother
Saint food.
That's Saint food. But I can, you know what, Doc, I can deal with the Saint food. But I might have to show you.
It's a lot going on, ain't it, man?
There's a lot on that one right there. But hey, we have to talk about what happened.
I would say to that, would say, let's do that together. Okay, let's do that together. I'm a reflection of you.
Female too. Yeah, man. They got it.
But a lot of that is because there's no representation other than you in her life of said image. That's the long and short of that.
That energy, man. In the teaching environment, male energy is interesting to see the reaction to it. It's just interesting.
Yeah. Oh man, it's 8:25. Okay. The conversation is great though.
Yep.
let's see. Okay, let's get one more. We only made it to like chapter
Well,
6.
it's 42 chapters, so
Um, so he's calling to die. We're gonna try to walk y'all through this. He talks back to Eliphaz, and he's saying to Eliphaz, um, I'm dealing with this the best that I know how. I don't need your extraness. The same thing with basically what Pastor Joe was saying. Um, and uh I'm not going to give my focus has to be right here because if I hear and take on what you're giving me, my focus is going to shift and it's going to be in the wrong place. I'm
right.
not going to be able to make it. It's like a person that's got incarcerated. I can't have you come here every day because my heart is going to now yearn to be out there with you. It's going to
Yeah,
play tricks on my mind and I'm not going to be able to take it. I have to do the process as I know how to do because I'm in it.
right.
I appreciate you. I'm not in, you're not in it. And I thank you for attempting to walk with me through it and everything. But I can't take you helping me right now and being in it because it's not yours to bear.
Yep.
The best thing you could do for me is be over there and sit like they did. And I'm gonna be here 7 days. I can't even tell you how long I'm gonna be here.
Right.
Don't even ask me. But be there if you want to be there.
Right. Exactly. We talked about it last week. Because if y'all remember, we only got to um chapter 1, and we're kind of
Man,
foreshadowing that it does get worse. It gets way worse. So we're entering into the worstness of his story because not only are his kids gone, but his wife has turned on him. He's sick, and now he got worse friends.
he got worse some friends, man, and everybody that was supposedly close to him is a wedge is widening that further and further away. And in all this, Job sinned not. He still kept his posture when his position was ever changing. I think that's profound,
It
man.
is, man.
It's profound. We were talking about having our loss of our friend, our dear friend Michelle, losing her, and I'd like to reflect on the beauty of her life.
Right.
Yes, this is a situation for death, but the beauty of it is the life, even in this moment.
Yep.
Life. Her whole life was about living in life,
Yep.
portraying life, even in her works. So, this is what Job chose to focus on. And that was the whole summation for me of the thing, the lesson of losing. What are you focusing on when you're going through what seems appears to be a loss and you can't see your way out? You can't see the end. The weight of it is overbearing. And you feel like you're at your wits end at the end of the rope. I'm just trying to encourage each and every one that there's a knot at the end of that rope, and you just grab to hold to it and be steadfast and unmovable in on there, because he put a knot at the end, and you're not going to fall.
I,
Just keep holding on.
I love that. I love it.
That's I'm
I love.
encouraging myself. Thank you, Holy Ghost, for
Yeah.
that. If you know,
Mhm.
that's good.
I love it.
Keep holding. Job goes on to talk in chapter 7 about about how brief life is. It's but a drop of vapor, like he talks about that. And then so I'm trying to speed through at least up to like 15, 20.
Yeah.
All the friends have something to say.
Right.
I think that's noteworthy that they're given the space in this story
Right.
to have their chance to try to chip away, if you will, at the rock. That's good. The rock that Job positions himself on. They try to chip away at it because they can only see in the limitness of their vision, and they want him to come literally to where they are. Watch this. When they travel to be where he is and witness his position, their hearts and their and this is not a bad thing, but it's toxic to Job because essentially they want him to come and be where they are,
Right.
but his position needs to be where it is.
Right. Yeah. He has to. I keep saying that lean in. He has to kind of lean in, really, to his faith because that's all he has.
Yeah,
And his friends are well intentioned. They want to help
they
him
have
through
the
the process.
yeah the best of intentions.
Yep.
But it's not helpful. It's toxic
Yep.
at this time.
Yep.
Timing is a big thing.
Yep. Paul's commentary on vessels of honor and dishonor is relevant to the agency discussion pertinent to Job as well. Agree. You can keep going on that if you want to.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
go. All right.
Yeah.
Bro.
You can
Bring it back
unpack.
to
You can
that.
unpack. That's going into a direction right there.
It is. It is.
That's going into a direction, brother. You got to come back on the show too.
Yeah, man.
For real. So he talks about what God's intentions are, why God would do a thing like this. And then he's telling his friends, y'all ain't got to know everything. God doing it for you, got his own purpose, own reasons. Basically, I'm giving a summation for that. And now here we are. Excuse me, Job 13. Job pleads his cause to God. All of this time, he talked to himself. He talked to his wife. He talked back to himself. He talked to his friend. Then he talked back to himself again. Then he talked to his friends. Then he talked to God. That's a lot of back and forth.
It is.
And finally,
Job 13.
lo, mine eye hath seen all this, my ear hath heard and understood it. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with God. But ye are forgers of lies. This is people, his folk.
Right.
Forgers of lies. That's offensive. Ye are all physicians of no value. Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace. Didn't I just say that? And it should be your wisdom. That's verse
Power.
Job 13 and 5. Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. Verse 6. Hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleadings of my lips. Will ye speak wickedly for God, and talk deceitfully for him? Will ye accept his person? Will ye contend for God? Is it good that he should search you out? Basically saying, God tells me he got me right here. Would you do it? I see what you would do in this position, but would you do this? You're not built for it,
right.
Basically. I'm doing this. Hold your peace. Verse 13. Hold your peace. Let me alone that I may speak, and let come on me what will. Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth and put my life in my hand, though he slay me yet. This is verse 15. People always talk about this, but this is giving you the context of the whole matter.
Yep.
Job 13 and 15. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him in him, but I will maintain mine own ways before him. You're not going to persuade me to be different. You're not going to get me off of my square, because I will maintain mine own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation. Verse 16. For an hypocrite shall not come before him. Hear diligently my speech and my declaration with your ears. Behold, now I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. Who is he that will plead with me? For now, if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the ghost. Only do not two things unto me. Then will I not hide myself from thee. Withdraw thine hand far from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid. Keep my mind so I don't be scary, right? Don't do it. Don't do it, please. Then call thou, and I will answer, or let me speak, and answer thou me. How many are thine iniquities, are mine iniquities, and sins? Make me to know thy transgression and my sin. All of this, and he as a rotten thing consumeth as a garment that is moth eaten. That's all of verse 13. What brother say?
He said God is slaying him, right?
I would say no. Here's why. Because we discover in the first portion that God took his hand off of the thing and allowed for some things to happen. Job's limited understanding, even though he's perfect, he's upright, he was chosen of God. His end result of the matter that all of it happens and God, it is a measure of God's doing or God's allowance. So he says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Whatever is happening, it's not all good. This is what I taught 3 weeks ago, but it is all God.
Yep.
That's where I see Job as being when he says that. What say you,
Yeah,
Pastor?
absolutely. I mean, again, keep kind of saying some of the stuff. It's like uh, a lot of what Job is saying is his philosophy. It
Yes.
doesn't. It's not a biblical principle per se.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't even know that Job knows about the information. I mean, at this point,
Right.
about it being Satan and
right.
coming
Right.
before.
The
Yeah.
whole, the whole thing.
He's just in
Responding-
it, right?
It's reality. Yeah.
Yeah. So he talks again about how brief life is. Man, and now we're all the way at chapter 15. But that was the biggest part I wanted to get to, though. He slayed me.
Right.
Yeah. I did a piece. I have to find what that is. Though he slay me yet. I think it was called Got Yet. And the yet was an acronym. Yearning, execution, and I forget what the T was. Yeah, but it was got yet, and I built it out in the intro like got milk.
Right.
So got yet.
Love it.
Got yet. Yeah, we got yet. But it came from this.
Yeah.
Because the rescue is in the yet. The deliverance is in the yet, which rests solely on you. So do you have it? Do you got yet? Is there a yet praise? Is there a yet worship? Do you have a yet? Yet in my flesh will I see God. Though worms destroy this body. Yet. Have you got yet?
Got yet.
I'm done.
Me too.
Oh man. I don't know if she's still up here. Look at Angela Gilliam is up there. Hey sis, we love you. We send our condolences and we are yep. It started jumping. You know who that is right there? That top one. And you know that. Very interesting. Good on the chat. Yeah. Coming in. Let me get some yes.
Right.
Get it.
No one can resist the will of God, even the rebels. He's the author.
Mm-hmm.
He's the author.
However, you do have volition. That's where I think we rest in. I would like to have that discussion with you, dear brother Bashir, because I don't disagree with you on some of that, but it's to a point. We have to add the ingredient of volition. That's why you could do. Joe said, and you're a teacher, so that was I've taught a few times. Whatever. In a setting, you have full autonomy. The head, just like at your home, right? But people can make different choices that go outside of what you've established as the head, as the author, if you will.
Yep.
They take and mark out a couple of lines or try to write in a new script. You're still the author.
Yep.
Everybody got to play their part.
Yep.
You can ad lib, but the writer wrote these words for a point.
Yep.
You have to stay on task.
Amen. Let me get some. Yeah. Thank you, Kit Kat. I appreciate the way y'all break things down. We appreciate you and all of the fellow boomers, our brother who always sharpens us.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
Iron sharpening iron.
Absolutely.
And everybody else, we got to get him back sitting right here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody else that wants to come hang out with us, we're not gonna bite you, I promise.
We have it looks like my mother came into the chat. Y'all
Birthday
say happy
girl.
Birthday again, Ma. I don't know if you were in here,
Birthday
dear
girl.
mother, but they said happy birthday to you on your how you say octogenarian.
Octogenarian.
Yeah, her 80th birthday on today.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm for me, I've said this over, we celebrate people on different times, but I try to celebrate everybody all the time.
Right.
Case in point with the loss again of people that we've loved recently. And we spend celebratory moments more regularly so that we don't have to have so much of the weight of one time.
Yep.
I'm glad that you were born, so I want to celebrate you. When I talk to you, when I see you, yes.
Yep.
It's not relegated to one day.
Yep.
And we can do it however you like to do it.
Yep.
I think I just want everybody to have a perspective back out of it. Say, if we're waiting for a time that's not promised, how then do we respond when we don't reach it?
Yep. Amen. Every day. Say it all the time. Every day is a day.
Yeah. It's the day of Thanksgiving.
Celebration.
Birthday, mother. Thank you. Bashir said happy too. All right. We love you guys.
Love y'all.
We made it to first. It's still so much to go. You want to give a summation, Pastor? Like we can skip to.
We want to go all the way to the end.
We can go close. Yeah, let's do that. Because they're familiar with the story. Right. I was blessed last week that so many people were saying that they didn't even know or see it how we started. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that blessed me really good.
Yeah. So Job opens himself up to have a conversation with the Creator.
Yep.
The Creator speaks back to him.
Yes.
And kind of lets him know how much of a creator he actually is. Puts Job in his place. Kind of explains some things that you just, it's so profound. The details about the stars.
You wasn't even here when I did all this.
Right. And Job essentially repents. And
there's an idea in there about, he makes a reference, and it's about the nature of the earth.
Absolutely. Stars are in there. The North Star is you have
a few references. It's talking about a
constellations are in there.
Yep. Like I made it like this. Yep. I'm gonna tell you how I made it. This is what you can relate to this part.
Signed it. Yep.
And his signature is over the whole thing. I mean, you can't. Ain't that good?
It's good, man. It's good. You gotta read it, man. I mean, if you read a few chapters a day, you'll be done by this year.
Yeah,
by the end of the year.
Get on in there. I wanted to make one comment about in 16 and 17, I think it's 17 also. Yeah. Job, the friends didn't leave him. So I want to give them a little bit of props.
Right.
That they stayed. They stayed in there. They had good intention. We're not beating up the friends. Pastor said that. They had good intention.
Right.
When he reprimanded them, they did not just run off butt hurt.
Right.
You know what I mean? They stayed.
Yep.
And they addressed him again. I want to make note of Job's temperance because he stayed the course.
He stayed
even when they stayed pecking at it. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
No, he stayed the course, and when you get to the end of the story, there's this piece where the Bible talks about, and Job prayed for his friends.
Because in the other part, he was like, y'all are, you got to go to like verse 16. I mean, chapter 16. Man, let me just read this one, Jane. He said, it opens with verse 2. I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are ye all. Miserable comforters. Meaning, in all that said, I know you came to try to give me comfort. I know what you was trying to do. I know you were trying to make me feel consoled. But it was miserable at best.
Positions of nothing.
And that you is a prop to say your position. I'm acknowledging that in you. But of what? And it wasn't a shade on you, on your position of being that. It was on the timing of it. Yep. This ain't that right now.
Nah. Yep.
Does that make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Because I still love you, still my friend, but that is not for what's needed for right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Such a timely, practical message. So I think it was good. And I think they got upset. The story goes on. They didn't like what Job was saying, but they stayed. So they all gave their first speech and a second speech.
Oh yeah. Everybody got a couple of times to talk.
Why though? If he had said, "Okay, thank you," it's like this. Really nothing else to say or do.
Yeah, I think it's
My dad and I were talking about that
yeah, I think
recently.
it's interesting because uh, they were venting. They had their opinions, if you
But it's
will.
his moment. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
No,
Tell
man,
your
that's
story,
what it
brother.
is. That's what it was, though. You know, if we say wisdom is learning, from the mistakes of others, they're looking at Job, and just like any of us, if we had a friend that, you know, always went to church, if you will, that had a whole bunch of money, that had this great family, we would be questioning some things like, man, you go to church all the time, you pay your tithes all the time.
Mhm.
This is what happened to you. What's up with you and God, man? Like, what's going on with this? And so we're gonna start surmising based off our limited understanding of life.
Yeah,
Yeah, this must have been it, this, and that's what they were doing, and none of it helped
correct.
because he's dealing with it. Y'all are trying to figure it out, and that's why at the end, uh,
What Pastor said.
Job prays for them, uh, so that they can get some understanding, some restoration, understand uh, better. And of course, we pretty much know the story that God gave him everything that he lost back,
Plus some more.
plus some, double, pretty much.
That's real good. All right. So, what are you doing under pressure? What are you doing in the face of adversity or heaviness or grief or anxiety or fear? The thing that is troubling you, ma'am, you, sir. What is your response? Not reaction, but response to adverse times. I think this story about Job, it serves as a lesson for how to respond and how to keep your position, keep your posture when your position is perpetually changing. That's what I would say. How to maintain your posture. And as I said last week, the posture was simply one of praise and worship,
Yep.
thanksgiving. Even in he didn't tell God that. I'm talking to myself.
Right.
You know how you do when your mama say something or your daddy say something and you go over here in your room and start talk under your breath. But you
Right.
didn't say it to them. That
Right.
part.
Exactly. Yep.
All right. I'm done, Pastor.
There it is,
I
man.
had a thing where we could play something, but it's kind of late in the hour. It's up to you. It's 8:47.
Oh yeah.
That thing I sent you earlier, the clip with the that I said I like that. Is the
Yeah,
two
yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
That is kind of the format, and they were doing a thing, and all of theirs are like 2+
I
hours.
saw it, brother. It was 3 hours when you
So
sent it.
that's
I was
really
trying to watch.
interesting. We can discuss some of that. That was their first time going live.
Okay. Yeah.
Ours are
Yeah.
live,
Right.
and then they do mostly pre-production.
Right.
So we're going to be investigating that, which brings us to our final moments. I started with my little kind of summation. Do you have a summation?
Nah,
Pastor?
man. No, it was perfect.
All right. That as we've been working behind the scenes, we would like to petition you. I asked Pastor about this, how he felt about it, and we've been prayerful, and we laughed about it, but we were very serious at the end of the discussion because of some of the production things that we're going to be trying to do. We want to be able to have to ask you all for some financial assistance at some point. Pastor, you can jump in at any time.
Yeah, got to raise an offering. But I mean, we've been doing this for quite a while, and we want to step it up. And in order to do that, it's going to cost us some money. And you guys have always supported us, with your love, your likes, subscribing, um, sharing it. And so we are going to appeal to you, um, that we want to. There's a certain amount that we want to raise to kind of give us some of the things that we need to take TNT to the next level. And if you uh, find it in the kindness of your heart that you would like to help us get there, which I really believe that you do, because you wouldn't be supporting as you are.
True.
I think you guys know us well enough to know that we're not fitting to go out party.
Not gonna make it rain.
We're not gonna make it
We
rain.
just now already not
This
them
money is
guys.
absolutely going back into the ministry, back to the business, if you will.
Right.
This is what we call this ministry.
Yeah.
To enhance it.
And I'm always uncomfortable about money because I really don't care about it. I think it's a false belief that we have that we're under. Um, that's a whole nother story. But since we're here and it works by this tool, then we should be able to have it or address it like that. And I understand that. Um, there is a subscription or a program that we're in need of that is only subscription based, and it will help our production. You see, we were coming, we were trying to implement the green screen and try to do promotion and have the Patreon and the Spotify, and we are missing this central piece through our research and study that will allow it not to be, uh, 100 man hours. We can do it literally in 30 minutes. What would take literally, a few days to a week to accomplish.
Right.
That is tremendous and huge, and it will put us um, in the state where everyone else who is doing this that doesn't have as good a content, I would feel safe to say, um, put us in league with them and make us as efficient.
Right.
So yes, please, ma'am, please, sir. I think the total was like $600. It's just under 600 and more than transparent. We can tell you what the exact numbers are.
Right.
Tell you for those of you all that are interested. But that is the number we're going for. We're not asking for $5,000 or even 1,000. We just need this particular thing because we've been making it work, as you all have continued to see. But to do these next measures, this will help us to elevate with efficiency and expedience.
Yep. Thank you, Kit Kat. She said that's cool. Pass the offering plate.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And
So
for those of you that first only tuning in, this is the first time that we've ever asked for any.
first time ever.
We've been doing it for 2-3 years.
Yeah, first time ever.
3, yeah.
So should we like how you want to do it? You want to?
I have no idea.
You want to?
We can say a Cash App, I guess.
Yeah, and then maybe next week keep. I mean, we'll give you the Cash App now.
Yeah, you can. We can do that. You can send it to the. You can send it to One Space Pay.
We'll put that in the thing.
Yeah.
Is it a one?
Yeah. No, number one. Number one, and then the word space, and then the word pay. And yeah. Yeah. One space pay. And then we can be able to have even a write out of what it is. We can watch it very specifically what that is.
Yep.
One space pay. And then it won't even be us. We have someone else that'll be having it, the access to it to oversee it outside of us. Then that also maintains a level of integrity. Integrity. Because we don't want it to go in our pockets. We want to go and do this work that's set before us.
Kit Kat is preaching again. You have not because you ask not. So we're asking.
She's an awesome young lady.
Yep.
And her babies are in class with mine. Long standing. And so yes, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Like I said, the goal is just under. I don't have the exact number, but it's just under. I think we said 600. And yeah, it's more beneficial for us to do a year subscription than month to month, which would be like another $100 and something more. So we don't want to do that, and we want to be a part. We want to make this work for the long term.
Yep.
So
there it is.
That's it. All right. One space pay.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all. Appreciate you. I will try to have an example of it at some point. You know what I mean? I started trying to work on this very complex to do the work by hand. So yes, that will help, man. That will help so greatly for promotion and marketing and such. And within that year, before that, we will be able to generate. It will be self-sustainable, and very confident of that.
I am as well.
All right. Yep. Hey, Danielle Knox.
It's Knox. Sister Knox.
Sister Knox. Yeah, Sister Knox.
She's back at church.
Sister Knox.
Sister Knox.
Sister Knox. All right. Thank y'all. Appreciate everybody for TNT sessions on Instagram. I'm looking at the YouTube right here. I don't have it in front of me like this, so we've been watching it on our devices. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. And stay the course and live life abundantly. I think the information for the reflections for Michelle, I think, is on Wednesday. I'm not sure if it is private, like family invite, because it's not at a church, it's at a residence, at a space. Um, but they made a post, from what I understand, public, and were telling people who want to be involved to make a donation to the art charity of their choice.
Of their choice. Okay.
In Michelle's name.
Michelle's name. Yep, that makes sense.
So that's how you can be a part if you like. And I will, on my Facebook and Instagram, try to get the flyer or the information and make it public on mine as well.
Yes, sir, brother.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
think that's everything.
I think that's it.
All
Time
right.
to boom out.
Don't forget, share this with everybody. Like,
Yeah,
share,
please,
subscribe,
please,
tell
please
everybody
do.
you know that we are here. TNT is live and it is booming.
Booming.
The lessons of losing can be so many people. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'm excited about the possibility of that. We got some things we'll talk about. I guess next week we'll start with these. Man, we talked about that.
I remember.
And we'll start with that on next week. I had something else. Oh, I'll show you some of these notes I had. So, yes, thank you all. Backroom banter for a moment with my friend, Pastor Joe. Boom on out. Thank you all for coming. All right?
Boom.
Boom, 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 and boom. End it right there. Man, we booming on out. Let me see if I can get this to boom out over here.